Hello, dear friends, and we are happy to be back again on the International Fab Talk Show. Yes, dear my friends, it's a new day. It's a beautiful day around the world. Welcome to the world and welcome to all of you out there spreading your love and as well as your interest in the International Fab Talk Shows. Thank you so much, dear ones. Dear friends, today we are with a special guest. She is none other than Miss Darshini Shivakumar, a trainer, a beautiful person with a great heart. She specializes in training, consulting, image management, and as well, I would like to add that coaching. She's good at coaching others. Dear friends, she's here today on a special, I could say, what could I say? I get a nice word for you, all of you. She's on a mission to create awareness. And ask me, what is that awareness? Emotional maturity, emotional balance, and of course, it's also called as emotional intelligence. Yes, friends, today we will be discussing on EQ and why is it important for each one of us and how it's going to help you in your personal and professional life. Welcome, ma'am. We thank you for sharing your time and, coming again on our platform to share your views.
Thank you, for the opportunity. Once again, coming back to this platform is like, every time we talk about something, a new idea opens up. And that's something I truly believe in.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks. So, dear friends, it's a wonderful union here today with two minds, of course, here on the platform, and our guests. Of course, they will be viewing our session and our virtual audience. My dear friends, let's ask our guest today, our speaker, our resource person, Miss Darshini, what is emotional intelligence, ma'am? In simple common language for our commoners over there, for the common man out.
See, in simple language, and before I go on explaining what is emotional intelligence, being on that mental health day, mental health awareness on this particular month, which was mental health day yesterday, keeping that in mind, coming back to the question, what is emotional intelligence as such is, in very simple language, the ability to handle your own emotions and the ability to understand in what emotional state is the other person is in, and trying that, understanding that, and helping the other person out to perform better with their emotional side. That is emotional intelligence. It's not about ignoring, but it's about understanding and working around it.
Yes, dear. Ma'am, many people are easily manipulated because they are very emotional. They don't work from here, they work from their heart. So how would you explain that, ma'am?
Thank you for that wonderful question. See, there are few things when you have to keep in mind. One is, with whom are you getting vulnerable with? You should not go become emotional to each and every person whomever you meet, because the more you start becoming vulnerable, or the more you start becoming emotional with the person whomever you connect with, they start using that as a weak point and they start exploiting that. So we need to be very careful not to each and everyone you go become emotional, but you have to be very choosy with whom you can show your emotional side or your vulnerable side to. It's very important where and with whom you are choosing to do this.
We've heard this term, ma'am, don't be an emotional fool. How would you explain that? How would you enlighten our audience who are present here and as well our virtual audience?
See, it's not about being emotional fool, but generally with what I've understood is, emotional side is something we have been learned to ignore it because we are focused with our work. We are hardly giving the, we don't even take the time out to check on our emotional side or our mental health side. Human beings gets emotional. That is very natural thing to happen. But terming emotionally fool individual is like, doesn't make sense. Say for example, you say that I don't get emotional, but behind the scene, you are getting emotional with something. It's not about emotional fool, but it's more of, it's learning to how to handle emotions in a better way.
Great, ma'am. Very nice, dear. Dear ma'am, in many cases, we have seen children, even adults, youngsters, it could be you, it could be me, we suppress our emotions. And why do we do that?
I think first cause to that is fear of being judged. Because of that itself, I think half of the people suppress their emotion, or see, there's a difference between reaction and response. Most of us, what happens with most individuals is they start reacting. So because of that, they stop to, they start to suppress their emotion, not rather than showing it out. Because yes, suppressing of emotions can have lot of side effects to it. Basically, when do we, with any individual, with any human being, when do we start getting pimples or acne? When does the skin start showing up? It's a form of when you start suppressing your emotion, it shows in your skin easily. It shows in your skin. So rather than suppressing it, find a coping mechanism or find a group of friends or anyone whom you trust where you can speak it out without any judgment. And that's why, professionals like coaches, counselors, in different names, people are there out to help you. It's okay to approach for help when you don't understand how to handle things.
Yes, dear. Very nice. Well answered, ma'am. Dear ma'am, there's a next question coming up from Sushmita Kumari from Jaipur. She asks us this question. She says, dear ma'am, I'm suppressing my emotions, but then I know at later on, it may explode in some other way. This is what I've seen in my family. My brother has this. He's been suppressing his emotions for a very long time. And, at one point of time, he explodes. So suppressing emotions could be dangerous. We become explosive later on, or maybe would suffer from some psychological defect or something. Is it like that, ma'am?
Okay. Thank you for the question, whoever asked from the audience from here. See, what happens when you start suppressing an emotion is, and later you explode is, every person has a threshold point or a saturation point to that extent, how much they can control their emotional front. So when you start to understand that you're getting into that, breaking point, I'm asking, why are you leaving yourself to that situation rather than, talk to some professional or calm yourself down, maybe by going out for a walk or having some water or getting some tea or coffee. Then once you have calmed down, then have a discussion. That's a better way to handle rather than exploding to other person also, because that other person is also going on an emotional, even he or she is also has emotions. It's not that they don't, they also have, but it's more of understanding that when you feel that you are in that point of exploding, don't leave yourself to that. There's something called the snowball effect. Have you heard of it? What happens when a snowball tumbles from the mountain? In the beginning, if you hold, you will be able to manage. Once that snowball start taking its momentum or the speed, you will be not able to handle it. And then it will go crash somewhere. So that's what is happening with even on your emotional front. This is something which I learned from EI program, the emotional intelligence program. So basically you need to start, getting that corrected in the beginning rather than waiting for the emotions to take the momentum. You're on mute, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I have just kept myself on mute to, stay safe, not to disturb you while you are, sharing your answers and, enlightening us and educating us on emotional intelligence. Dear ma'am, I like the way you put it, the snowball effect. That's really very nice. Thank you. And it's a new term, I guess, for many of our virtual audience and as well as our guests present here. Dear ma'am, the next question is, there are certain people who, emotionally damage others. They cause a lot of pain to others. So what do you have to share on this? Why do people hurt others, emotionally, or target them emotionally? This happens especially in the inner circle or within the family on most occasions, even in the workplace that we'll discuss later, but on the personal zone.
See, there's a beautiful statement, I've heard, or in many self-transformation sessions, they use this. Only a healer can become a healer. I'm repeating that again. Only a healer can become a healer. Or only the heal can become the healer. When that is not happening, that's when you start emotionally hurting people. That's when you start emotionally hurting people. Why are you hurting people? Basically, there's something or some incident or something which is lying inside you which you have not worked on. And that comes out in different forms that you start hurting other people rather than sitting and working around the situation, what is bothering you. That's when you start emotionally hurting. For say example, it can be somebody bullied you in school, or it can be as smallest thing of it, but the moment even we don't share that thing out or the situation outside, then also this emotional hurting begins. This is my thought. This is what I get to answer to this question in this way.
Yes, dear. Very nice. Well answered, ma'am. Now, at the workplace, they always say more than IQ, EQ is more essential. Only then you're going to, be very fast forward in your work, or maybe very much, you can deal with your work very well on the professional level. More of EQ is required. That's what is the need of the hour, they say, in this century. Earlier, it was like the IQ overtaking, but now it's the EQ. Could you just enlighten us about EQ in the workplace?
Okay. So what EQ in workplace? How many of us know to differentiate or know to, bring that gap between your personal front emotional side and your work front emotional side? The time you step into an organization for work, you have to put your personal things as to take a back seat. Otherwise, you're mixing. And even when clients come to me, I tell them, see, whatever, emotional baggage which you carry from the morning, leave it at house. Your work is a different place altogether. You can't show out your personal emotions in the workplace, because there's a code of conduct, there's a decorum to be maintained there when you're working with an organization, or you can be a professional who's into counseling, coaching, or whatever it is. Say otherwise, before you go to work, finish your personal emotional front at the house itself, at your home. Sort it out before you go to the work. That's the best thing you can do. Say even then, even after getting into the organization, if your emotional side is taking a front seat, don't let your emotions drive you at the first place. When you feel that is happening, get up from wherever you're sitting or wherever you're working, go to the washroom or go have some water, go to the washroom, freshen up yourself and then come back. And later in the day, you can sit back and think as to what can be done. Or if you can sit and discuss with someone, sit and do that. And this is where practicing present moment meditation or awareness process comes in play. Because half of the time, either our minds is in the past or it's in the future. So it's more of how you train yourself, how you train your mind to, respond in situations. Yeah, that helps.
Great. Very nice, ma'am. That's really nice. There's a question like this from Karthik Upadhyay. I guess he is from Raichur. Dear ma'am,
Okay.
in the chat box, I just have a question. He asks, ma'am, a great leader should have this EQ. And how will it impact all the employees? EQ, connecting with your employees on the work zone.
Okay. EQ, connecting with the employees. See, before we show our emotional side outside, okay? With any emotions, when you look at a person's face, you will be able to read what emotion he or she is in. Understanding that if you are in a group, don't talk to that person then. Once that meeting or wherever the group splits and goes for their own work, then you individually go talk to the person, what is bothering you. If that person says it's something personal, or you can give that employee or that person, a timeout, or ask him to go for a break and come back, so that he or she could process himself or herself there, rather than you going shouting to that employee that, why are you doing this, why are you doing that. It's not required. Or later in the day, you can sit and have a conversation either in the lunch or over a cup of tea or coffee, whatever the person feels like. That will also help. See, being a leader, it's not about you emotionally suppressing yourself, but rather put it on the table and discuss.
Wow, great.
That is the best way to do it, rather than you talking on when you are on that emotional high. Sort it out when that, when you are in a neutral state.
Wonderful, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the best emotion according to you?
Gratitude.
Wow, great.
See, the thing is, I feel gratitude and contentment is the best thing you can ever have. Because see, at the end of the day, all that we have is the time right here, right now. What can you make best use of it? So I would say gratitude and contentment is the best emotion to be in, or the best place to be in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very nice. I love that, ma'am. Very nice. And very informative, my dear friends. We'll ask a very sensitive question now to our celebrity and resource person today. Dear ma'am, what about emotional blackmail? I have heard that several times. Several of my clients, several of my, the people who I know in my circle and the people who connect with us online, they have this very, very important question. What is this emotional blackmail? And why does this happen? And how can we stay safe?
Thank you so much for this question and bringing this question right now. When do people emotionally blackmail you? When you go start being vulnerable with each and every one. And they say, if we raise our voice, or if we, if we shout that to that person, he or she will become emotional. So basically, that person will go quiet rather than expressing themselves out. And that's where emotional blackmail starts. So you should be very choosy with which all are the individuals whom you are going to be vulnerable with. I'm saying, why do you want to leave yourself to that state where people start emotionally blackmailing you? Yes, it is happening everywhere, in every family, in every house. But we need to be aware of the choices which we make. It is more of, I would say, from my experience, it's always better to learn to handle the emotional side rather than, it's good to express yourself to other people, but you have to be very careful with whom you're doing that. That's where your emotional blackmail starts.
Perfect.
I think this gives an insight to whoever is watching this or hearing this out.
Perfect, perfect. Very nice. Ma'am, we have a question from Sunita Singh. And she says, dear ma'am, she's asking, could we express our emotions in public? Is it okay to show our emotions when we are in the public space? Because sometimes I am unable to keep up my emotions when I am in a public space and I begin to cry. It could be a bus, it could be a train, and it could be even if I'm walking on the road. If I get to remember certain things that come to my mind of how I was being treated badly by so and so, I begin to cry. So is that okay to cry in public?
See, if you can hold on to that emotion, fine. Or what you can do is you can have a gulp of water, swallow it in smaller chunks. Slowly swallow it rather than swallowing it in one gulp. That will give you that space to settle yourself down. Or what I suggest you to do is either if you're traveling in a bus or in a train, either go to the washroom, or if it's a bus, get out of that bus, maybe catch the next bus and go to wherever you're heading to, because that will give you the time space to either use the washroom or do something which will calm you down, and then continue the journey. I would not suggest to show it in the public, but yeah.
We have a question from Brunal. I didn't get the name right. Brunal
No problem.
Gupta. She says,
Okay.
ma'am, I'm in a long distance relationship and my spouse, of course, they're not yet married. I mean, that's not spouse. She says, I'm in a relationship and he is in Canada, but I am emotionally attached to him. And of course, he too is emotionally attached. And she says, could you enlighten us on how long we can be like this in an emotional relationship and a distance relationship, like connected only with emotions for the present?
Okay.
And they're going, I guess they're going to get married in the near future, hopefully. Yes, dear.
Okay. I see the basic is to keep your communication lines open, clear, and crisp. Rather than, thinking what will the other person think, keep your thing open. See, this is what I feel. This is what it is. And these are the things which we need to look at. Put in a form of discussion which will help you to, maintain that last longing relationship. When that communication gets cut, that's where your whole of your issue starts. Keep it transparent. Keep your communication transparent. That is a secret key to this. And respecting and acknowledging each other's emotions also matters. That's where everything starts from.
Great. Ma'am, do you think that the long distance relationships succeed in most cases? Because they're emotionally connected, only feelings, and they're texting their emotions and putting it down. They cannot express it in face to face. They do it at a distance, maybe sometimes 3 years, 4 years, they're away from each other. What is the success rate? Do you have any idea?
See, as far as I know, if your communication, this thing is transparent and clear, if each other is understanding each other well, I think then it's good to go. And it depends from, individual to individual.
Right. Perfect. I agree on that. Ma'am, I have a question for you. The question is, when the female child is born, the emotions expressed at that moment is different in different places. Sometimes they express joy and sometimes it's the opposite. Why so? Why when the female child is born, especially in a few countries, I wouldn't want to mention any country here to hurt anybody's sentiments, but I just want to say when a female child is born, the emotions are different and on different levels. Could you just enlighten us without mentioning any country as such?
Interesting question. Okay. See,
Whereas
having
the male child, everyone are happy. They are most of them.
See, the thing is simple here. Basically, what happens when you have a girl child at home, the mothers or anyone from the family wants to see that girl child, getting dressed up and all of it. And you can't do that with a male child. So basically, the kind of things you could do with a girl child, maybe that is what is giving a lot of, emotional side or something like that to it. But from a male child, you'll not get to experience things or see things of getting him or her dressed up. Like with the girl child, which you do. You're on mute, ma'am.
I would like you to focus on the negative emotions. Oh, this is a girl child. They are very angry, annoyed. They show something very negative towards the child. I want that aspect to be
Okay.
focused on. Because there's lots of
See.
joy when the male child is born, but when the female child is born, there's some type of, they withdraw their emotions. They don't want to express that love.
What happens is here, even your hormones, the hormonal level a female child has is different from a male, isn't it? Hope you agree with me on that.
Yes.
Either let it be female or let it be male. Each of us or each individual have different hormonal levels. And when a male child and a female child, when he or she has different hormonal levels, females easily get, or a girl child easily gets emotional to various reasons. They get emotional. Why do we have to, not let the child show out the emotions? Why is it that? Maybe it can be the stigma of this mental health which is not getting accepted still. Maybe that can be one reason. Maybe as a child grows, he or she did not know how to express it when he or she was a child. And as they grow...
Just give me a moment. What I would like here to get from you is the society, the parents. When a female child is born, certain parents, they have a negative emotion if the child is born. They hate the child because she is a female child. So why is that so? Is that right or wrong? I mean, of course, it is wrong. There's no question of is it right or wrong. That's a wrong way to put it. It is completely wrong. But I'm asking, why are people so biased with their emotions when a female child is born? Don't you think it's wrong, ma'am?
It is. That is something,
And all the negativity goes on to the mother for giving birth to a female child. And if again, God forbid, she has the second baby and that is again a female child, her life is hell. And she's not going to have a happy life. And if again, the third child is also, maybe if they go in for a third child, and still if the child is a female baby, and that's, she's in the death trap. And maybe in certain cases, they kill the girl child and even the mother as well, or they chase them away out of the house. This has been happening in many of the countries. We wouldn't want to mention the name of any country or any state like that, but that is a trend in the world. Why people have hatred towards the feminine gender? Especially the little young ones, innocent ones.
This can become a topic of a debate right now.
Yes.
And I'm not going there.
Yes.
It's more to do with the way society has projected that particular scenario rather than, I would say.
Wonderful.
See, every individual, in spite of the gender, every individual have an emotional side. And it's completely okay to have that emotional side. See, we are humans, not any computer or robot to show our emotional side outside. So basically, it comes with a lot of society pressure. The way the society has projected that issues or that scenarios like that.
Yes, I get that. It might
because there are a lot of other experts whom you can get a bright, better perspective to this particular scenario.
Yes, I agree with you, ma'am. I agree. Dear ma'am, at the time of birth, emotions. And when one leaves the world, the demise of a person, emotions. So emotions play a vast role at the start of life, at the end of life, right? So in between, we have to just manage our emotions, get hold of our emotions. So dear ma'am, I really thank you for talking and sharing your knowledge and expertise on this part called as the emotional EQ part. I would like now to shift our focus on stress management. With your permission, may I now go on to stress management, dear?
Sure, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you. Dear friends, of course, it's a beautiful session today and I'm enjoying it. And of course, our resource person is giving her best to this session. Stay tuned. Dear friends, what is the next question is going to go to Miss Darshini Shivakumar, our resource person. Dear ma'am, the question here is, what are the benefits of stress management?
Benefits of stress management?
Yes, yes. Next, we go
Okay.
to what is stress management. First, let us know what are the benefits. Then we discuss what is stress management.
I'll give you a new perspective to this.
Yes, dear.
Here, what I'm gonna put stress in such a way that I'm gonna use it as a positive stress, which is either called EU stress. You know, we have heard many people coming in telling us or telling somebody else also that we want a stress-free life. Many of them come and tell us or tell somebody else this statement. Do you think that without stress, you'll be achieving your daily to-do list or daily things which you have to be completed for the day if you don't have stress? Would you complete it? No. I'm saying use the stress to get your task done. Yes, we do get stressed out in certain events, but I'm saying use that stress to get your things done rather than that stress pulling you down. Use it to prepare yourself even better. Get yourself prepared using that stress. See, when you're not able to handle that stress, when it goes to de-stress, it's a different topic altogether. That we'll come back to that later. But when you have a particular amount of stress which allows you to work, it's good to have. Because if you don't have stress, we'll not finish things on time. Say, for example, you are planning an event. Only if you're stressed, you will find a good, hospitality team or your food caterers, whoever is involved in that particular function. I'm saying use the stress to make things done and make things work in wonderful way. That's how I would put this in with you. You're on mute, ma'am.
Yes, dear. Thank you for reminding me. I'm very careful when when you're talking. I wouldn't want to distract you at all or any sounds from my area or my end. Dear ma'am,
okay.
There are many people who are mixing up their personal stress with the professional stress, and so they are not able to perform well when they are in the professional zone or maybe in the professional area. So then, how to separate the personal stress and professional stress? Is there any way out?
There's a way out. Basically, again, you need to bring in all this in a, on a point of discussion. Okay, when does actually stress comes? When do stress arise in your body? Or when does it start? If I ask you, when does the stress start? See, when does the stress start is that maybe you have the resources with you and you don't know how to effectively and efficiently manage that particular resource. That's when your stress starts to begin.
Brilliant, brilliant.
So if you know what are your stressors, you'll be able to work with that. Okay, let me go back to the olden days when people go for hunting. Either you are on your flight or fight mode. Okay, if a cheetah is there in front of you, you will run. But if a lion is in front of you, what will you do? What happens? Two different scenarios. So basically, because that lion and cheetah has become various things these days. There are various stressors these days. If you know what is stressing you out, either communicate with that person or ask somebody else how can we handle that particular situation, even if it's on your personal front or on your professional front. Say, for example, morning you get up, you are running half an hour late. And due to unexpected reasons, you are running late. Instead of you getting stressed out and reaching the place late, say if you're aware that you're going to be late, inform the organization that you're going to be late. So deal your stress then and there rather than keeping it later and bursting out in some other scenario. That's what I would say. Unmute yourself, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. This is the third time you reminded me. Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you, dear. Dear ma'am, there's a question like this from my side. What about the educational sector where students are stressed out with heavy syllabus, heavy workload, pressure from the authorities or the management to perform well, to score more marks? When students score more marks, it's not the student who gets. Of course, the student will benefit, of course, a little, but the maximum benefit goes to the organization. They start, putting banners of that child and try to portray the child that they are teaching the children in an efficient way, but it's actually the hard work of that child. Maybe 90% the child has put an effort, 10% maybe the organization, or it could be like 70-30, or it could even be 50-50. But here, who comes to the limelight is the educational institution who takes the limelight, and through one child they would like to draw more admissions. But here, who has taken a lot of stress? The child. And pressure is even being put by the management that you have to score this many marks. Why are the educational institutions putting stress on that particular, on a few children, like, to score good marks? Because they want their name to shine out. If I'm putting myself clear across over there. So these children who are taking the stress, this educational stress or examination stress, in quite a few cases, we've even heard of suicides of toppers, unable to take the stress put by the management on them. They might have performed very well in the first year. So little more stress is being put on them, not little more, extra stress is being put on them to perform again in the second year. Unable to manage this, there are several children, innocent children or students committing suicides. So how should students manage this stress? When they should know too much is too much from the management, and this is what I am capable of performing.
This, I'm gonna put it in a different, maybe you can say two different perspectives. One is, does the child himself or herself know what is their strength and what is their weakness? Does the child know about himself or herself? Or does the child know what is his or her learning style? Okay, if the child is finding something difficult, it is the responsibility of the teacher to clarify the doubts. If that doubts is being clarified, there's no point of getting stressed here. Or there's no point of getting even stressed for your examination as such. See, in a class, there are, say, minimum 45 students in any big school you go to. I don't know how many teachers are willing to help when a child go ask doubts to the teachers. Even that also matters. Clarifying doubts of the students in the timely manner, that can avoid lot of stress. Or out of choice or out of force, maybe they're taking that subject. That can also lead to stress. So it's basically understanding the child in the right way and guiding them accordingly rather than getting them stressed out. And one statement, what I'll say is, stop comparing students with each other, because each individual, each student is different and it's unique, because all your fingers in your hands is not the same. Neither the individuals who's born. So, accept, and even rewarding them when they do good in their studies also helps to handle these kind of failures. That's how I would put it.
Beautiful, very nice. Ma'am, there's a type of stress amongst teenagers called as the peer pressure. Yes, some of them are well off with their parents and they dress up very well. Okay, they are flashy in to college and looking good, coming on flashy bikes maybe. There are a few of them who aren't from that affluent class. And there's a little stress. children start losing their self-esteem, self-confidence, or maybe thinking they are not up to the mark. And they are a bit stressed over there. Even they are good at studies, but looking at the other students dressing up well, and parents giving them the best of things in the world, and they can't get it from their parents. We have seen certain students going down in their studies. A very thin line, not all, a very thin line. Some students are very focused, even no matter what's their financial status. But there are a few students, just by looking at others, the peers, the peer pressure, you could say, there's a stress level there. How could you explain that?
It comes with acceptance. It comes with acceptance.
Great, ma'am. I like to clap hands for you.
Because what happens is, different individuals comes from different backgrounds. Will you be able to change the background? No. It all comes with acceptance and contentment with gratitude. This is only one statement which I can give for this particular question, because it's all about how that particular individual handles it more than the other people who's putting the pressure. Or don't be in that environment. As simple as that. Don't be in that environment. That's how I would put it in.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like the way you put it. Very nice, dear. There's another question, ma'am, from, a general question. The problem is not mine. Okay, I am good at studies. I love this, my education. I'm happy where I am in my educational place, in my class, in my college or school. I'm very happy. My teachers are all good to me. My friends are all good to me. Everything is fine. But I have stress at home. My parents are always fighting, arguing in front of me. I get stressed out. Tomorrow I have an exam, and today they are stressing me out. And how do I deal with that?
Okay. Thank you for bringing up this question. Okay, so there are a few things which I'm going to mention in this question itself. One, you should be aware of what is in your control and what is not in your control. That is one main thing anyone has to understand. What is in your control and what is not in your control. Say a child is coming and saying this to a professional or wherever, to whomever the child is expressing to. Is it really needed for parents to fight in front of the child? They can do it when they are with themselves or in their room. Why in front of the child? That as parents, they should be aware, they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to do that. Because see, the kind of environment the child is being put into also is going to affect in his or her studies also. Because the kind of fights which, as parents, which they have at home, it affects everything even the child is going through. Because the child is unable to come and even talk to the parent. In every house it is there. But if the child is very young and not able to understand, it is the responsibility of the parents not to show these kinds of fights in front of the children. Rather, it should be, in the back end, not in the front of the child. This is one thing my coach taught us when she was taking a session, and she has also come as a guest here before. Now in such an environment, in a family or in a house, it's not parents, it is parent. Either when mother says no, the child goes and asks to his or her dad, and dad agrees to whatever the child says when mother is saying a no. But that time you should not agree to what child says. Instead, you should be saying to the child that I'll check with your mom and come back, or we'll both discuss if you are into it or not, and then we'll inform you if you're going with it or not. Simple.
Okay.
So see, it's basically parents have to become aware of these things rather than
putting the pressure on the child.
Exactly. So,
Well,
yeah.
I have a question here from, Juliet James. She is from Borivali,
Okay.
Mumbai. And she says,
Okay.
ma'am, she's asking the resource person here, that is Miss Darshini, ma'am. Question is from you, from me, Juliet James, from Borivali, Mumbai. She says, ma'am, do you think stress management is required for students or for parents?
I
Or
would
for
say both of them.
professionals? Or for professionals?
Everyone.
Oh, great, wonderful. For everyone, of course. Stress management.
See, because
for everyone.
Each individual, each person experience stress in different levels.
Wonderful.
Maybe I experience stress, but that level will be different when with you or with anyone. So, and each person has different coping mechanism, and not each person handles it in the same way. Maybe I handle stress through artwork or going for a nature walk outside. So it depends, what is the stress level each person has. So it starts with that.
That's really nice, dear. Very nice talking to you and getting to know all of this. In the towards the end of the session, like almost in just a few minutes, we'll wind up. Before that, could you just give us some tips on how to balance and manage our stress levels? Any 5 tips would be fine.
Okay.
You could rephrase
managing stress.
Sharing. Yes, dear.
First is write down, start journaling, whatever it is. You don't have to, bother about grammar mistakes or anything. In whichever language you are comfortable in, start, I would say in a simple term, brain dump, or you dump your mind onto a piece of paper. And then from there, then from there, you create a to-do list as to what needs to be done. Don't add 10-15 items in a to-do list and try to finish doing everything. And if everything gets over, well and good. If not, just take 3 or 4 items from that to-do list, which is your priority. Complete that 3 or 4 tasks. Then if the time and your situation permits, then you follow the rest. Simple thing. But most of us don't do this. So when you are unable to manage yourself, you are getting stressed. Then second is music. Instrumental music, not this songs as such from movies, but instrumental music which will calm your mind. Basically, sounds of water, or it can be Carnatic, something which will calm you down. That is the next. Then reading. For me, reading helps, because reading is one place, it can take you to places which you've never been to. The kind of imagination. See, if you can use your imagination to boost your creativity, why are you using your imagination for your negative emotions? Not needed. If you can use your imagination to positive ones, use it. But why are you using your imagination to the negative ones? And that is when your most talked anxiety thing starts. When a person says he or she is anxious, there's a visual running in front of them, or there's a picture, or there's a movie running in front of them, and it's completely visual, isn't it? So I'm encouraging you to use your imagination to the positive ones rather than your negative ones. See, stress basically comes out of you not being able to handle or manage things. So see how you can manage it or handle it. But don't keep it to yourself and thinking that other person is aware of what is causing you stress. Make them aware. This is the tips which I can give you.
Superb, ma'am. Thank you so much, dear. Really, I enjoyed the session. I'd love to ask more questions, but I know we all should bow down to time. And today, dear friends, we'd like to thank our resource person from our heart deep within for all the strength and energy she's been pouring into this session on this platform, and of course, answering all the difficult questions posed by our audience and as well as our guests. Thank you so much, dear ma'am. We'd love to have you on many more Fab Talk shows. And we were very happy the day you accepted, this request of ma'am. Apart from the interview, you have to share your knowledge on this platform. And you've done
Definitely.
that today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope I answered the questions in the way I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's given you some insight.
Thank you. Yes, dear, definitely. My dear friends, thank you so much for staying with us. We'll be connected soon with yet another celebrity. And of course, we'll invite Miss Darshni Shivakumar again with another beautiful, sensitive topic to learn, to grow, and empower each other. Thank you. Stay safe. Lots of love from across our table, the International Fab Talk, and as well as from your end. Love you all. Take care. And friends, if you like what we are doing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Stay blessed. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.